Okay, today's video we're going to talk about basically the header or top part of your website on a landing page, or should I say, landing page is a website. What to do in terms of the layout of that very top portion of your landing page if you're talking about doing a landing page. For a service company of some type, it could be home services, national services. You could be doing loans, insurance products. You could be doing a shipping service. Doesn't matter. Services, there's two main ways that I always put together my landing page header section, which the header technically, if you talk to web designers, is this very top section where the phone number and stuff usually goes. I'm going to talk about that, but I'm also going to talk about what goes directly underneath that. Basically, as they call it in the marketing industry, above the fold or before you scroll on your mouse. Whether what you do as far as your design in terms of, yes, the content of what you put there physically, like what the words say, but the layout itself is key if you're going to get a conversion rate that's going to be profitable in your campaign for this stuff. And you could go ahead and try the 50,000 things that I tried in the last 15 years to figure out what's the ideal kind of layout for this and the style for this, or you could just use my video here and just skip all that. Generally speaking, if you just use this layout here, even if you have moderate skills, you'll be able to do well. And after, you put this information in the hands of a real designer, let's just say, who has UX, UI design experience, they'll be able to probably knock it out of the water for you. Respectively, in most markets, unless it's very, very competitive, and when I say very, very competitive, I mean there's $50 million companies who you're competing against. They won't be doing this stuff, and if you go ahead and do this stuff for your landing pages to make your PPC campaigns work better, you're going to be better than everybody else's. You're going to have a landing page better than anybody else's landing page, which if you follow up that with an ad that's better than theirs in terms of what gets clicked on first, you're going to make money in your market. The landing page is about 70% of the equation as to whether or not you make money in a PPC market or in PPC on Google, on Bing, specifically on google.com, on bing.com, because there's more variability. So Google and Bing has to decide, because they're measuring everybody who clicks through on certain keywords, including the ones that you bet on, and they're trying to figure out, should they show your stuff or somebody else's stuff? And there's about 10 people at one time cycling in and out of the top 4 spots there at the top of Google or Bing. And they want to show whatever helps their users out the most on average, because that gives people a good experience of, clicking on an ad, so that in the future, when they make a search, they want to click on an ad again. So they give you most of the good traffic. They want to promote you the most, give you the most traffic if you are getting the highest click-through rate on your ad and the highest conversion rate on your landing page. And they want to reward you with the least cost per click, which also draws up, so you're going to make more volume and it'll be at a higher ROI. And in terms of what you could do to make your ad better, is actually, there's a few things you definitely could, for sure, to make your ad better, which start by just having the keyword in the headline of the ad for every single keyword you have. Using a 1 keyword per ad model, you're going to be able to do twice as good as anybody else there. But there's less to kind of mess up there, if we'll just say, or less variability. But whereas a landing page, there's a lot that has to go right there, and there's a lot of individual information you need to know. We'll just say, if you do it right, the gap between yours, instead of being twice as good on the ad, you'll be twice as good as the average ad there, or maybe 3 times as good if you really knock it out of the park. Your landing page can be 10 times as better than the worst guys there. Because in terms of the landing pages, it's very much an art to make a landing page. People think, oh, what difference does it make? I can give this to my web designer, they'll make me a landing page. User psychology is something that you have to be able to pick up when you make a landing page that will take a user from search to deciding to call in as short a time period as possible. And giving them the phone number or the form to fill out their information the quickest isn't the way to do it. You got to get them from I need to know if they can do it. Can they serve me? Do I trust them in the shortest amount of time? And there's a specific process that you can go through to do that, to shortcut all the BS out and just get to, you know, what works, which is what I'm showing you on this video. But respectively, something that you have now that converts at 5% of the clicks into a lead could easily turn up to something that gives you 10 to 15% just by implementing this one thing into the top of your page, given what is on the very top of the page before you scroll is half of probably all the results you're going to get, because a lot of people aren't even going to really look at the bottom part of your landing page too much, particularly if you're in something like home services where if you're hiring somebody to fix your AC, you don't need infinite information. You need to know, can you do it? Will you service my area? Do I trust you? And all of that can get done above the fold. If you're doing it right, that is. Most of your competition won't be doing it right, and they won't be able to knock those things out for the person in the top of the page. You do it, you're going to clean up over everybody pretty much, because most of the people are going to be this savvy. They're going to have their web designer do them a landing page. They'll know nothing about landing pages. They'll know nothing about consumer psychology. They'll know nothing about PPC campaigns and what people want there. Whereas you'll have the baked in stuff that already just works for PPC ads as a whole here, at least to get you started, we'll just say. So if you have a service company, doesn't matter what kind of service it is, I'm going to show you what to use on your landing page at the top section or the header part of your landing page to get much higher conversion rates if you're not using this stuff right now. There are two basic styles I have that I use for the header section of a landing page I'm going to share with you on today's video. So if you are in like home services or professional services, anything like that, this basic header section style is the way that you're going to go about doing it if you want to be able to get better conversion rates right away. This section here is going to represent anything like an online service. We're talking about like home loans, or we're talking car loans. We're talking, travel insurance. We're talking shipping, car shipping services. Anything like that where something that you are going to buy, a service that you're going to buy online that's kind of digitally delivered. We'll just say, I call it online services, but that's the general category there. So everything kind of fits into one or the other, okay? With that said, I'm going to go through each individual little piece here of what is on each one of these header sections that I found works the best, gets the highest conversion rates, so you understand fully how to do this on your own and what the purpose of each individual component is. And trust me, each individual component being where it is has its purpose, and there's a reason for it being there, and it has its own effect, cumulative effect on the conversion rate you're getting. The reason why most people don't do good on PPC, given 70% of the equation is just the landing page, is they give the job of doing the landing page to somebody who doesn't know jack shit about landing pages. And then so they'll put this together and they don't appreciate how much of a difference it makes putting the phone number here versus phone number here. And that goes for every element on the page, particularly above the fold before you scroll. Each placement of each thing, consumers have an expectation certain things will be at certain places. And as they get to the page, they're half asleep when they get there. And they're trying to figure out, do you do what I need you to do? Can I trust you? Without having to think any harder than they need to. So when you start throwing curveballs at them by putting stuff in places that where they're not expecting it, or is easy to digest this information, given they usually want one piece of information before they want another and another, you're going to confuse them. The more you confuse them, the less chance you have that they're going to finish doing what they were doing on the page. It's so easy to click on something else. Click back, click on something else. You frustrate them even just a teeny bit, most of the people are just going to leave. Okay? But it's not that hard to not frustrate 90% of the people if you just know a little bit about how to act, how users behave on these landing pages, particularly coming from a PPC ad. And so if you just follow this general formula here, don't deviate from it too much, you should be able to have a decently good conversion rate on your landing pages just with this one model, this one-size-fits-all model that may not be perfect for every situation, but darn close, or as close as you possibly can get. So anyway, with this, for the template for the regular home services, professional services, that kind of service category of service, if you will, what you have up top, technically to web designers are called the header. This is where the logo, the phone number, that stuff goes. A navigation if you have one. Traditionally, I'll start off by saying that most people who don't know anything about landing pages think a landing page, or, and I don't want to say this is true for all industries, certainly not, but the landing page has been called a squeeze page by some people because they're literally trying to get the person to the page and make it so that they only have one option, which is to do exactly what you want them to do. For anything in the, like if you're selling an online course, that might be the case, okay? If you're doing something in the home services category, people want to be able to get information sometimes. And they want to see that you're not hiding extra information and you're not being too pushy. Any good salesperson will tell you when you sell somebody, you don't push them. You make them try to make their own mind for themselves because that'll work the best. So the header section on a landing page for home services, professional services, should be somewhat similar to like what's on your website, but much, much simplified. Okay, we're not going to do nearly what your main site's going to have to really distract them. The art of a landing page to get a good conversion rate, or the highest conversion rate possible, is you provide just the right information that most people are going to want to know, and no more. If you go beyond that, you're going to lose conversion. If you don't provide enough, you're going to lose conversion. Kind of the secret of it, doing a landing pages, is to provide the information that most people need to know up front. For the few 10 or 20% who really like more information, you provide accessibility to that information, but you don't make everybody make the other 80% digest it all if only 20% want that extra information. But for the 20% who do want it, you make it so that those people cannot miss it. Okay? And that can be done with a navigation bar for the most part. You want to do that concept through the bottom, the rest of your page, but we're just talking about the header section on this particular video. But going back here just a step, the very top left of your header, your landing page, and in the header section, is always the logo. Why the logo there? Because this is by default where everybody's looking for the logo. If everybody's looking for the logo there, you try to get smart and you put it at the top right, it's going to cause them to say, hey, where's the logo? Because they're always looking for it, because part of the way that they judge your company is looking at the logo quality itself. If you have a piece of crap logo, because you weren't going to spend $300 for a logo, or more like $3,000 now anymore to get a half decent logo, and you say I can get one for $50, they're going to look at your logo, you're going to see how shitty it looks, and they're going to not trust you, and you're going to lose that person before they got any further on the page. This is absolute fact. There's a reason why people spend big bucks on the logos. And you can't fake a good logo. You can't go to a $50 logo company and get a logo that looks like a Fortune 500 company's logo. Those logos are done over hundreds and hundreds of hours or thousands of hours of cumulative work to get the proportions just right and everything. Not to say we have to do that, but you got to have something half decent, and definitely you should have it better than all your other competitions at a base standard. So depending on what market you're in, that'll change. For most professional services or home services markets, $3,000 logo generally will cut it. But your logo up top, where they're expecting it. Now, in some markets, I'm going to have a navigation up there, some not. Respectively, if most markets, I am going to have a navigation up here if it's a more technical market. If the service I'm offering is like a design firm, we're doing a specialized architectural design. Okay, in that situation, there's more that goes into the decision to hiring versus somebody who has a broken toilet and need a plumber. So in that case, where they need more information, generally speaking, I will have a navigation, but it'll be very, very streamlined. It'll be about us, other services, 1 or 2 things there, typically like 2, sometimes 3, but no more than 3. And that'll be directly to the left of the phone number. The phone number goes to the top right because that's where most people look for the phone number, okay? Logo left, phone number right, and in between, towards the left-hand side, is that navigation, which that navigation will link to the regular pages on your website. And it goes against, yes, I know what a lot of people say about landing pages. You don't want them to leave the landing pages. Trust me, if somebody wants to be able to read into your company more and you're going to force them not to, they're not going to buy from you. They're not. This is, if you have a course product, like some, I'll just call it BS product, where you don't want them to get too, thinking too hard. Okay, I agree with that. But if you're offering a legitimate service, that's not the case. If you don't have the navigation, I'm usually going to put in the middle a slogan. I'll put like in business since 1919 or #1 provider of since blah blah blah, or offering home of the 20-year warranty or whatever. It could be, or it could be something that's going to convey in like 5 or 6 words why your company should be the one that you choose. Right there up the middle of between the phone number and the logo. Okay, so that's the top section. I covered that already. That's pretty simple. You follow that basic formula, you can't really lose. Beyond that, start here on the right hand side, the action picture. If you have an AC repair service, what you want here is a guy fixing an AC machine or AC unit. Okay, if you offer broken toilet repair, you want a picture of a guy fixing a broken toilet. And don't, if you can anyway, sometimes you can't because you're stuck with the resources you have available, but don't use those stock images from like iStock where the guy obviously went to the store, bought a coveralls to look like they're a plumber. Everything's brand freaking new. And they obviously haven't done any work. And then after the photo shoot, they took all the shit back with the receipt and got their money back. Because this is literally what people do for their websites. And I look at that photo, I'm like, that's not a real employee. And then they're going to lose trust. It's still better than having a random image there. But if you could absolutely afford it, a real picture of a real employee, hire an actual photographer. I know this absolutely kills some people, that they got to spend $500 getting a photographer for an hour to come in and take some photographs of somebody actually doing the work so they could put that here, but it'll get more sales. You waste $500 now, you'll make $250,000 more over the next 2-3 years. Why would you not do that? Respectively, with that, sometimes we'll have, like for home services as a site, like a picture of the truck. Why? Because that gets the trust up very, very, very high real quick. Or what we've done before is like the bird's eye view of all the trucks laid out with all the equipment laid out and all the staff there to get trust. So sometimes that would be the way we would go, but for the most part, you do the person doing the work. If you're doing a professional services, this can be a picture of the office, and if you have like an open office plan showing the work, people working on the work. Because if they're thinking, I need to hire a architectural firm, they want to visually see a confirmation that when they hit the page, that they're on the right page. That's what this whole picture over here is for, on the right hand side. And to back that up, on the left hand side, the headline is a secondary confirmation you're at the right place and we do what you want us to do. So if it's architectural services, you have a picture of the architects working on the stuff. It could be a picture of somebody doing an architectural design on a desk individually. That might work better. One or the other. Ideally, what normally works the best is one guy doing it or one gal doing it versus a bunch of people versus, you know, showing your whole team there, just as a general note. But if it's architectural services, you show the guy working to construct some blueprints or whatever here. Architectural services in the headline, very, very plain. We do what you wanted us to do and we said we would do in the ad. Going a step further, if you can do it, architectural services in Austin. That way, I know right away you do it, and you do it in my area. And I know if I call, I'm not wasting my time. Okay? Scratch my board. Going further here, underneath the headline, you put what we offer. So, architectural services. Offering full house plans, you know, try to think of some other things that would be relevant to that exact thing. If it was a plumbing service, open 24/7. All work guaranteed, okay? So that you have like a bullet point list underneath, essentially, that sums up, okay, we offer this. This is what you're going to get with our service, okay? So if you want to hire us, just click this button. And the button shouldn't just say, contact us, because that doesn't get the conversion rate as get your toilet fixed now. If the keyword was toilet fixing company, the ad would say toilet fixing company. The headline should say toilet fixing company in whatever city they're in. And if you're doing all of Austin, you should break Austin up into all the other areas of Austin that have 100K plus, so that your ad could say toilet fixing company and then in suburb, so they know even easier that you serve their area. You'll have an even higher click-through rate, but almost double what you would have without that city name in there, being given that everybody else in your business is not going to have the suburb in the ad. They're just going to have Austin, or not even Austin itself. So your ad just makes it easy for them to know which one to click on in that case, and then you follow through with whatever's in the ad headline, the keyword in the suburb, right there in the headline. Okay, toilet fixing service in Austin. These are the three things about our toilet fixing services that you'll get, and get your toilet fixed now is on the button. They click on the button. You have a lightbox form that comes up with your form. Another way you could do it is you could click on the button and it scrolls down to the form. They're kind of about the same, but respectively with that, that's basically it. In terms of if you want something for, you know, these home services, professional services, that's your basic layout, okay? That works basically every time. If you start to take shortcuts and say, oh, what difference does it make? Well, I don't really need a real photo. You're going to start taking hits in your conversion rate. And if you take enough of them, your campaign's going to be net negative ROI. So you can try to take as many shortcuts as you want, but if you take them and it doesn't work, try unravel and do the extra steps. We'll just leave it at that. Underneath, I didn't talk about what's directly underneath. This is technically above the fold here still, so you should see this before you scroll. You should see the reviews itself. Google, Yelp, Home Advisor, or Google, Yelp, and whatever is relevant to your industry. Home Advisor might not be it. It could be Clutch for professional services. Okay? And you put the name of the place that gave you the review, like Google, the amount of stars, showing visually gold stars because people resonate with gold stars the most. And that's actually the color of the stars they have. For Yelp, you use red stars because that's the color of stars they have. And it'll be the easiest for the mind to register what you're trying to convey to them if you use the color scheme and the design of the place that gave you the review. So Google used the Google logo, the gold stars that normally Google has in their review section, and then you put the review score, like 5.0, in the font that Google puts it in, so on and so forth, if you have 5.0. Otherwise, you put whatever it is, 4.5, whatever. The Yelp, you do the same thing, and if you can't do Yelp because your Yelp reviews suck, whatever, just do another place where you have good reviews. But you want 3 across because 3 is visually the most eye-pleasing to look at. Odd numbers always are. But usually it's like Google Yelp or Google Facebook, and then a third one, which is the most relevant to your industry, like your industry-based review place as your third one. In terms of what's going to work the best, I have found after doing iterations and iterations of this. Okay? So Facebook instead of Yelp if you can't use Yelp, and then a third one, just whatever's relevant to your industry, and Google is always on the left. That kind of is the layout style that works the best. You have your stars that show visibly, are you a 4 or are you a 5? And then this actual score next to the stars, and then of course the logo of where the place is that you've been reviewed at directly above it. Okay, so you can kind of see this. Home Advisor, stars, and then the score next to it. I put the score up here above, like next to Yelp, instead of to the right of the stars. You could technically do that depending on the space you have available, because Yelp is shorter. You could do 5.0 directly to the right of Yelp. Same thing with Google, it's up to you. That part individual is a little bit up to you, basically. I'll leave that part up to you. But that's the basic, that's it. In terms of what you need to do, you follow this, you're going to get a decent conversion rate, or at least a lot better than we probably have now without this. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so moving forward, if you have an online service, like I mentioned, you could be have an insurance product that you're offering, or you're doing loans, or you're doing a shipping service, okay? Your best bet to make things work in that market, or those kind of markets, we'll call online services, that you're literally either digitally delivering what you're offering, or you're essentially, it's quote based. We'll just say that. What you're going to want, the ad is going to say, get a quote in 60 seconds, or get an instant quote 60 seconds or less on the ad. You're going to take them to a landing page. I left the header section off this because I already did this, but you could assume this header section would be here as I already described it above here. Okay? And then your reviews can also go below here again. But what I have here is just this middle section, because the middle section changes for this type of style of service. So they get to the page thinking that, oh great, I'm going to get the price right away, because that's what they always want, basically. And so with that situation, instead of doing a left alignment here with the text and the call to action and the picture on the right, here you just do a center. Everything is centered on the page. The headline goes at the very top. That headline should be longer than the words underneath it in terms of how visually it will look. Ship your car here. If it was a car shipping service, the ad would be like, car shipping service, instant quote, 60 seconds or less. To click the ad, you reverberate always what that was on the ad. This is always, this is PPC conversion 101, where you already said it on the ad, car shipping service, instant quote. Then you could put, what is your car underneath it, and then a blank for them to put what their car is. So it looks like they're going to get an instant quote, which is what everybody's really after. And then from there, you have a button underneath it that says like go or whatever. Go is what I found kind of works the best. They click go, and then there'll be a second question that says, okay, what's the year of your car? Okay, and then you have like 10 different steps. Ask them one question at a time. They call these multi-step forms. And at the end of it, then it spits out the quote, or you'll get even more ROI if you have a way for them to instantly book. It'll say the price and it'll say buy now, and then they can put the credit card in there. I know that because we've had people do that before, and that improved the ROI of the campaign. But if you can't, you just spit out the quote and then a phone number to call. And realistically, the last step should have the phone number, so you could call them right after the lead comes in for the best ROI. If you can't give them the quote at the end of this because you're not that advanced, what you do is you get to the end, and then basically you just call them right away. It doesn't spit out the quote, and the very ending message says, a rep will call you within 15 seconds to give you your quote. And then all that information gets piped over to your rep in real time. They get it. Ideally, there's plenty of services out there, and you can message me about this if you're curious, where as soon as somebody fills out their phone number and clicks submit, it can call the service rep, and then it can say, John Smith just filled out the form, press 1 to be connected with John Smith. You press 1, it calls him, and of course, you get on the phone, hey John Smith, hey, I got your quote, I'll get you or I got your requirements, I'll get you your quote. And then you can do things that way. But that's the basic thing that's going to get you the highest conversion rate for something like this. Okay. With that said, sometimes this, where this multi-step form and then putting in like, and taking a step backwards here, where you're having your blank here, the reason why there's only asked for one thing, because if you ask for one thing versus multiple things, they're more likely to take that initial step forward with you than if you were offering or asking for multiple things. And the same thing for the second step. You only want to usually ask one thing because that'll get the highest compliance rate to get that second thing from them. And then you stretch it out to 10 steps because that'll get a better compliance rate than asking for one thing and then like 5 more things and 5 more things, as we have found. This is it's a psychological hack. People don't want to basically feel like they've lost their time if they've given you some of their information, or are more likely to give you all of it the more of it they've given. So you kind of you just make them feel like, oh, it's only one, oh, it's only one more, oh, it's only one more. I think you can understand this. But respectively, if you have no instant quote that could be given, then you can get rid of this box here where they have to input a piece of information and they click go, and then you just have the button underneath it that says, get your quote now, or hire, get started with us now, or whatever, or get your online service now, whatever, get your insert the name of a service now, whatever. They click that button, light box pops up, has your form, or you click it, goes down to your form again where that form normally is on the landing page, and then they can fill it out. But respectively, if you have like a service, like you're offering call center services, or respectively something like that, it would be call center services as your headline, and then respectively below that, then instead of just saying what is your car name like I gave you, or what's your car make like I gave you in the example before with the car shipping service, you could say we offer pay-as-you-go plans, and we offer 24 hours a day service, and then maybe 1 or 2 other small things like that. Usually have like 3 things like that, and then the button, the call to action button right there. So basically, and on your, going back to your ad, if you can't offer them an instant quote, then your ad, instead of saying instant quote, just offers them the call center services on your ad. If they type in call center services, your ad says call center services. They go to this page, it says call center services on the headline, and then the 3 main things that make your call center services good, and then your button, get your call center services now, or whatever, on the call to action button. And then below that, the rest of the page goes, you have your reviews underneath this, you have your normal header section, but that's going to be the normal thing for a quote on like online delivered service, versus like a real professional service would have, which is this style, or a home service. This style works kind of best, as we have found. Respectively, to sum all this up, if you can do instant quotes, I'm telling you, this is the way to go. Even if you're saying, Corey, we can't give them a quote because every situation is different, try to come up with some way, because you'll make twice as much money, if not 3 times as much money, if you could give them an instant quote, because this is what everybody wants. And so, if you can, even if you have the pricing, you could say underneath the headline, you could say what the pricing is, and then you could have a call to action there. What you could also play around with is to say, get your instant price quote, and then enter how many people do you need, how many minutes per month or whatever do you need, and then a call to action, and then have them fill out the form and make them chase getting the actual quote, even though you could have gave that to them up front. Why? Because they want the quote so bad. If you give it to them up front, you wouldn't quite get the rate of follow through on the form as if you made them actually go through that multi-step form. That process is so slick that you may want to consider trying it. So, respectively, if everybody, for online service like that just wants to know what the price is, because that's the main deciding factor. Of course, they want to trust you. If you got your reviews underneath here, they know they can trust you now. So what else is there, right? Of course, they want to know it's a quality service, but they want to know what the price is up front if it's in the general range. A lot of companies say they don't want to give out the price until they call or whatever. But you're just not going to get as many sales opportunities then. And sure, you'll get some people who aren't as qualified that fill out your form, but you're still going to make way more money calling up, we'll give you your quote, oh, you're too much, okay, fine. If you end up with 3 times as many leads because you made them think that they were going to get a quote, which you did give them a quote, I'm not implying lying to them, but made them fill out the form to find out how much it is and get an instant response on how much it is, versus having to go through that whole sales process with a salesperson to find out the cost of what it costs per lead. It might be $100, $200 a lead, and the time it takes for a salesperson to give them a quote, which is like 5 minutes, isn't even nowhere even comparable or on the same spectrum. You're losing $10 worth of an employee's time, and you have to buy 3 more leads, which cost you $300 more, just by not being able to offer them the instant gratification of finding out how much the service is by having the multi-step form and putting in something in that. And you ask them a question that's so easy to answer up front that everybody knows what the answer is without even thinking about it. What is the make of your car? Everybody knows the make of their car that they're going to ship. For call center services, for outsourcing, like a huge call center or service like that, then asking how many calls per month do you think that you have? Everybody kind of knows. You could put a range like that. Call center services, get an instant price quote. How many minutes or how many calls per month do you think you have? By answering that question, now they're one step into the process, and if they know that they're going to find out how much it's going to cost them without talking to the salesperson, they're 3 times more likely to actually fill out your form and cough up their information. And it doesn't make the lead any less good. Why? Because the filtering of the lead is actually in the PPC campaign. Once they get to your landing page, you just want them to fill it out regardless. A lot of people, it's the same with live chat. Some people think, oh, I don't want to do live chat because I'll get a lot of less qualified people. Well, you filter them out at the ad level with the targeting. When you get to the landing page, you just want as many people to fill it out as possible. And if you have crap people coming through, what you do is you set up your tracking of your leads, and you feed in the lead information of whether a lead was good or bad back into your Google Ads account through a process called offline conversion tracking, and you filter out the bad leads that way. And then you do everything you can on the page still to get the people that are going there to respond at the highest rate you can. For the call center services, the ad that says we're going to give you an instant gratification quote on the ad is going to get that, 2 to 3 times the click-through rate. You're going to pay half as much per click, respectively. More clicks available out of your market, when it's working, so you can expand more, and then 2 to 3 times more so, like 3 times the amount of people filling out your form, because they just want to know what it's going to cost for the amount of calls that they have to service per month. Or whatever. Okay, so respectively, that's the kind of the deal with other kind of services that are not in the professional services or home services category that generally work the best. Offering them a price, giving them instant gratification there, telling them that you're going to give the price, give them a lowball question that anybody can answer within 2 seconds, and then ask them a few other questions that you need to pre-qualify them on the phone, and then call them up afterwards. As a bonus to this video, so this is services. What I didn't cover here was products. If you're selling a product and you got to make a landing page for a product, respectively, for most e-commerce companies, you're just sending them directly to an e-commerce category page or a product page, or maybe even a search results page on your site, and that still holds true. If you have an overly technical product, that's the time where a landing page really will pay off. I talked about in just the last video I made that if you can make a copy of, like for instance, you found out that you get the highest revenue per dollar spent on ads by sending them to a category page versus a product page, you could take the category page and recreate it in a landing page program like Unbounce. And then with that, you could do some split testing of the page. And namely, if they type in they need a 4 horsepower lawnmower, you have 4 horsepower lawnmower in your ad, and you take them to this, you basically clone copy of your category page that you were sending them to before, and you write 4 horsepower lawnmower in the headline, so they know right away all those lawnmowers that are shown to them there are definitely 4 horse. You'll get a 50% higher conversion rate doing that. That's one hack. But beyond that, if you have something very technical, you're always going to almost do better, like every time, basically, we'll just say 99% of the time, having a long form sales page where you're going to have up top something more so like I talked about here, where the basic overview of the products given here, and then below it you talk about here's the individual things that this product will fix or do, like applications of the product. Bang. And then underneath that you could put review. Here's a couple testimonials saying that they love the product. Then underneath that you go after advanced features of the product. And then the section underneath that, a few more reviews. And then the section underneath that, the technical requirements or specifications of this product. Also, if it has any guarantee, warranty, and stuff. And then underneath that, then there could be an FAQ. That kind of general style of page, whereas that's not the exact formula I use every time like it is for services. It's above the fold here. It's basically a clockwork. I'm going to use this every single time, one or the other. For product pages, it varies a little bit based upon mainly just how technical the product is. Is it like a drone where nobody knows anything about drones and I've really got to really break it down for them? The top of the page may actually not follow this exact formula. It might just be a picture of the product with the headline and a few selling points here and respectively no call to action whatsoever, because they need to see more information first before they would ever be able to want to respond, and therefore the call to action up front would only get in the way of most people. So just for you product people that sat through this video, I just thought I would mention that. This is a quick extra bonus content for the video. That's pretty much, if you're doing those services. Doing services though, this is what's going to help you out. One or the other. Pick one. Try to give people an instant quote. Go through a multi-step process. Or if not, just go through a centered style page. You'll probably do better. For anybody else that's doing regular home services, professional services, try to use this left-right 2-column style design, if you will. Picture on the right, content, textual content on the left, and you should do better. If you like this video, I have a ton of other videos on this channel about other PPC money-making strategies. If you want to learn how to make a ton of money with PPC, you can definitely look at those videos. There's stuff on there that, just like this, that can help you improve how much you're making with your PPC campaigns, certainly on there. If you want to see more step-by-step instructions on how to build PPC campaigns the way that I build them personally to guarantee our clients' results at our firm, Guaranteed PPC, you can go to guaranteedppc.com/blog, where you'll find all kinds of information like that on how I specifically build these kind of outside-the-box campaigns and strategies and kind of what kind of results that we're getting with those strategies. So you might be helped out with that kind of information instead, or in addition. If you have any questions about the above the fold or the header section of a service landing page for a PPC campaign that you're trying to do that I didn't cover here and thought I should, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a day or two time. That said, I hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned a lot, I hope to see you on my next video where I have another great idea on how to improve your PPC campaigns there. See you then.